This week, the American Civil Liberties Union rolled out a plan for menstrual justice by demanding that tampons and maxi pads be placed in men's restrooms across the United States. It's part of the left's bathroom equality movement that saw university students in Southern California also recently clamoring to have urinals and stalls put in women's restrooms. While these imaginary threats occupy the public imagination, real threats to freedom remain acknowledged, including real threats to civilization through things like AI. This week, President Donald Trump officially launched the Space Defense Force, the biggest change to the military in 70 years. Prior, there was the U.S. Army's Space Command that saw proposals like things like rods from God, metal telephone poles that could come crashing down to create meteor-like events. But now, like the Marines, like the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Space Defense Force will be in charge of waging war from outer space. The Defense Department before World War II, or shortly thereafter, I don't remember exactly, but it used to be called the War Department, but changed their name in Orwellian doublespeak to the Defense Department. People that were paying attention at the time knew that was a hoax. So more rightly, this new branch of the military that's in charge of space war should be called exactly what it is. It's space war. If there's anything we know about the U.S. military, it's their propensity to wage war on the American public. I mean, just look at September 11th. Now, 50,000 satellites the size of refrigerators are going up into space with phased array antennas to beam microwave energy down to every square centimeter of the Earth. A few months ago, it was reported it was 12,000 satellites. Then Elon Musk bumped it up to 20,000. Now it's up to 50,000 satellites. This according to Stephen Weiber. These phased array antennas in outer space will join ground-based phased array antenna projects that beam microwave radiation up on the ionosphere and then ricochet down to any part of the Earth. So it's a space fence lockdown. The Earth is being bombarded from ground and from space. And the ones from the ground, they bounce off the ionosphere and come back down. So, and these can create hurricanes and earthquakes because you have that much focused microwave energy in one spot. And they're closing the Earth in this space fence lockdown, and the resulting effect on temperatures will not figure into the equations on climate change, just like they haven't thus far, even though we have atmospheric heaters doing the work. And meanwhile, U.S. presidential candidates argue about how many genders there are and if men can get pregnant. And these silent weapons for quiet wars are being dwarfed in the public imagination by phantom menaces like tampons in men's restrooms. In the latest Spider-Man movie, we saw the supervillain manipulating the climate using holograms, yet he had the entire world on standby and alarm. At this point, the technology of the US military is so sophisticated that they can create anything from an alien invasion to extreme weather events, create alarms to get fundings and have this on and as an excuse for any kind of austerity measures they want. Heck, they could even put a hologram of George Harrison and a Buddha meditating over New York City. So even those on the left, like Bernie Sanders, have bought the hype and are calling for an all-out war on the sun. Others, like Obama's information minister, Cass Sunstein, even called for putting in jail and barring those from society who advocate the sun's rightful role in society. He said those people should be put out and those people should be banned. Now, it's come out that Trump's been impeached by the House, although that's debatable because they haven't sent the articles over to the Senate yet, so it hasn't been formalized. But that's also big news this week. Behind all the smoke and mirrors, it's something that I've predicted constantly in my articles and Facebook page. It's that Trump let his political allies hang out to dry. Those members of the alternative press who helped him get elected, like Julian Assange, like Alex Jones, when these people got into trouble by the left's revenge politics, he didn't come to their defense. The silencing of Alex Jones, I said, okay, this is it. If Trump doesn't crack down on these tech companies, go after them for all sorts of laws that they're breaking, go after them for censorship, all the alternative media structures that could help him get elected just won't be there. And he thought, well, they can silence all these voices, but they can't silence me. And that, I think, was his problem. He should have put Hillary Clinton in jail. When you kill an anaconda, you're supposed to cut its head off and bury it, or it will reconstitute itself. And that's just what happened. So he has nobody to thank but himself. His bark was louder than his bite. And for this reason, he could, let's say there's another election next year, the Democrats gain control of the Senate, and they send the articles of impeachment over, then it's bye-bye. And he hasn't gone hard enough against these criminals in the Democratic Party and in the Republican Party, if we're going to be fair. And for that very reason, they've been left to fester, and he could lose the election. He could lose the election just because there's no conservative media left to really get the truth about the opposition out. So there's all sorts of crimes that can be done by the opposition, and nobody knows it's even happening because all the voices that would have reported on it before have been kicked off the internet. But Trump's no saint. I mean, look, he's getting ready to bombard the entire world with this microwave radiation, and it's going to create it's going to increase dramatically the electronic soup that we're living in. We're talking 5G here. And it means that there's going to be 100 times the amount of radiation that we now experience, which is already over the top. There's no way that humanity will be able to sustain that level of electromagnetic radiation. So they're basically going to cook everybody. And so he's part of the problem. But it's also because people aren't standing up and demanding their rights. They're like little kids addicted to their toys, and they don't believe that there's anything wrong with the 5G that's coming. Well, that's all for today. With the gift of gab from the City of Truth, it's Patricio Phillips. And if you like these videos, you know what to do. Link to them, post them, help me get the word out, because I have a message that's pro-humanity.